Hello, St. Bernadette Parish. Today is April 15th, and today I would like to offer you another Easter reflection. Think of these 4 words: seek, open, reveal, and move. These 4 words encapsulate the gospel reading today. You may know that one of the characteristics of Luke's writings, his gospel, is stressing the day-to-day concerns of the early Christian community. Luke wants the reader to be privy to the early days of the Jesus movement as they find their way in first century Palestine and as they build upon the message that Jesus lived and taught during those 3 years of public ministry. Jesus continues to teach his followers in the days after his resurrection as well. Having appeared to Mary Magdalene, he now appears to 2 disciples. The encounter with Jesus occurred on the road to Emmaus, outside of Jerusalem. So what do we have? First, Jesus seeks us, just as he sought those 2 men walking. These 2 men were not looking for Jesus. Jesus sought them out. The 2 disciples who knew who Jesus was, but they did not recognize him at first. They knew a lot about him. They knew a lot about what he accomplished, but were not too sure if they had any previous engagement with him. They had been witnesses to all the things that had happened in Jerusalem. They had heard, no doubt, on many occasions, the things that Jesus had testified about himself. Yet they were not able to recognize Jesus when they met him on that road. Second, Jesus opens the eyes of these 2 disciples. And how did Jesus do it? Well, he used Scripture to teach them about who he was. While we don't know exactly the exact quote that he used, or the verse, or the book, we do know that Jesus walked them through salvation history, through Revelation, to show how it gave witness to who he was, his identity, why he had come, and why it was necessary for him to be where he was. Jesus wanted them to see that if they would only believe what the Scripture says about him, they would understand why he came and why he had to suffer. The third word, reveal. Jesus reveals himself. So we have seek, we have open, and now we have the revealing. It was only as they had fellowship with Jesus that he disclosed himself to them. Jesus reveals himself to those whose eyes he had opened to the truths of sacred Scripture. And interestingly enough, he did so around a table. Where do Catholics worship around? We worship around a sacred altar, right? The table of the Lord. Here, we see Jesus doing the same thing, sharing a meal, teaching them, sharing his identity to them. It is necessary to point out that it is not without significance that this separate table, that his eyes were opened and they saw Jesus for who he truly was. And after the resurrection, many of the appearances of Jesus are associated with that same table fellowship, that same table identity. Lastly, the 4th word, the 4th point, Jesus moves us. When your eyes have been opened, you will want others to have their eyes opened too. Can you imagine the excitement those 2 disciples felt once they knew who this man was? What emotions they were feeling, what emotions they were experiencing, and what they wanted to tell other people about their own experiences. What did that conversation sound like after they encountered Jesus? I assume it was very emotional, very eye-opening, very full of excitement and joy. It had stirred them on the inside. It had moved their very hearts. And once moved, they could not help but share. The same can be said of us, I think, at times. When we're happy, when we're excited, when we have something very monumental happen to us, a new job, a promotion, the birth of a child, right? A new house, a new car. We want to share that with people that we care about. We've been moved, and we want to share. This story reminds us that Jesus seeks, Jesus opens, Jesus reveals, and Jesus moves us. Each one of us. Our mission as disciples is to live his teachings to the fullest and fully embrace his promptings in our heart. Happy Easter. Go with God.